Hello, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and wherever you are in this wide, wonderful, beautiful world that we live in, you are very welcome to the Global Sales Leader Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Cooper. I'm the sales relationship coach. The reason why it's all about relationships, my clients love what I do because it's longevity, it's all about connection. And when you connect with a client for the first time, you hope to have them forever and a day. And that's what I do. I help advise and train and coach people to get what they want by training and coaching. But really, today, it's all about adding value forward. For all the listeners out here, I have an awesome guest. He is, we've spoke to each other several times online, but I thought I'd just bring him up on this podcast today. Donnie, you're very welcome.
Hey, thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. Anytime I get to talk to people with funny accents is a good day for me. So I've been looking forward to this one. I figure we're going to talk a lot about sales and have a great conversation around that. So I'm pretty stoked to be hanging out with you, brother.
So, a bit of a bio about yourself. You actually came from the Marine Corps. Was that correct?
Yep.
You spent many a year behind there and struggling to find out what to do next. Like we've all been in that position, going, "Well, what am I going to do next? What am I good at? What am I not good at? Let's focus in what I can do and what I can control." So that's one of the things. You spent 2 decades learning what it takes to be successful at sales. I'm still learning what it takes to be successful at
Sure.
sales. I think we're all learning. If you're one of these people that has the ego of a giant and you think, I know everything, I don't think that is, I think that's probably a fixed mindset rather than the growth mindset.
Agreed.
So you're also launching your own business. Grew up in international business success champions, and you founder of Success Champions. Look, rather than me talk about what you've sent me, why don't you just tell me what you're all about
For
and the
sure. Really,
incremental steps to your success along the way?
absolutely. So, yeah, 20 years straight commission sales, turned 40, realized that I'd spent my entire journey making everybody else wealthy. Jason, I didn't ask you, can I cuss on your show? I don't remember.
Sorry,
Can I
can
cuss
you
on your
curse on
show?
my show?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. Oh, but yeah, I spent 20 years working for other people, being other people's retirement plans. So I just decided, when I turned 40, that it was time to get in the game and really chase my own dreams. And the what I discovered quickly was, I was an employee for a lot of years. So unbeknownst to me, I always thought, I created my own journey and I did what I want. I wasn't a rule follower, but I didn't understand that, somebody always told me what to do for an entire career. So when I launched a business, I had no clue how to run a business and promptly ran my business into the ground. 6 months in, I almost lost everything. But
I hear
luckily
you.
for me, found podcasting, and I had a non-compete finally come up a year later from when I launched the business and turned everything around. So if you flash forward to where I am now, CEO of Success Champions family of companies, 6 companies, 2 of the top podcasts in the world with Success Champions and Growth Mode, 4 best-selling books, and a partridge in a pear tree. So, but everything we do is focused on helping people grow and scale their business by teaching the stuff that people don't often teach out there. Like I share all my screw ups and mistakes because nobody taught me how to build a business. So I found that by sharing my screw ups, my mistakes, and everything else, people just dive into the world. And most of the things that I talk about centered around sales because that's just been my entire career. So
Do you
you know,
think, question I was going to ask you, do you think showing your true self really helps? What I mean by that is being a little bit vulnerable about who you are as a person. Do you think that helps sell a story, sells a narrative to people that they can connect with? Because there's so many people out there, and there's a lot of bullshit out there with
for sure.
all these shiny people saying, I'm really successful, and you get lots of books like that. I've just read a book, and it's all about this is what you should do, this is what you do. Failure, rather than just saying the true side of what actually happens, because it's bloody hard doing what we do. And
For
I
sure.
can concur with yourself there, because it is hard, and sometimes there's shitloads of failure there before you get success.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was interesting. As I grew up in the sales game, I kind of was that guy, the one that always dressed a certain way, talked a certain way, carried myself a certain way. And what I found is that was a facade, right? So that was, not me being true to myself. And it led to a lot of transactional sales for me, kind of these one off deals, because eventually that client meets you who you are. And now they got this false set of trust. You're like, wait, you showed up as this guy, but now we're meeting this guy. Those two
Mhm.
things don't go together very well. And so what I found is showing up as myself. And truthfully, the way I figured this out, especially once I was running my business, was I was invited to do a keynote presentation down in Florida. And right before I go on my keynote presentation, the guy who's putting on this big event, a couple hundred people in the audience, big stage, he pulls me aside and says, Donnie, do me a favor and don't go full Donnie. And I said, what the hell does that even mean? And he goes, well, I'm afraid you're going to upstage me. So don't go too crazy. And I looked at him, and he had
Oh,
grabbed me by the elbow, right, to have this conversation. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
yanked my elbow away and I said, dude, that was the dumbest fucking thing you could have said to me. And then I went on stage. And as I ran out on stage, I went, where the hell are all my badasses at? And half the crowd just went bananas, right? Because, oh my God, he said badass. The other half of the crowd went, oh my God, he said badass, right? So I immediately jokingly looked at the one side that had more of the people in it, and I'm like, oh, so here's my people. I'll talk to you guys here in a second.
yeah,
But it was an instant clarification for me that I had to show up as myself. So that's the moment I went to ball, wearing t-shirts, ball caps, and
yeah,
talking like I talk, because it brings my people to the table. And I never have to remember what I said. And so I think for a lot of people, when you share your struggles, your journey, people get better connected to you. And when, in a sales conversation in general, when people get to meet you, it's just such a more fun conversation, and you
yeah.
actually create lifelong friends and relationships.
I totally agree. Like today is really about sales conversations, and look, it took me a little while. I've been doing this for about 25 years. Been in the training and coaching element for about 5 years or so. Like it's been an up and down roller coaster, and I think when I started, it was like, yes, this is the shiny version of me. Everything's perfect, everything's
Mhm.
right, but in reality, it's not. It's bloody hard work. And like myself, I had to even 1 year I had to. I think it's a few years back. I just didn't have any revenue coming in. I had to go and deliver parcels.
Right.
I had to get up at 4 in the morning, go out and deliver parcels. I was exhausted all day, but in my head, I still had the dream. I still wanted to do what I wanted to do. And cut a long story short, it's bang, doing the podcast and giving value forward and helping people see some really good core golden nuggets so you can show up and just be yourself. And
Look,
that's what I love. And that's why I
yeah,
like speaking to people like yourself.
dude, I tell people all the time, the people who find success are the ones that were too dumb to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Right? Because nobody in their right mind signs up to do what we do and goes, "Oh my God, I can't wait to wake up and get punched in the face by life today."
Yeah.
But as business owners or entrepreneurs, whatever word you want to throw out there these days, that's what we do. We get up every day, we get punched in the face, we smile, and we go, "Okay, let's do that shit again tomorrow."
Yeah.
And it's been a fascinating journey. Because the one thing they don't tell you when you start a business is you're fixing to meet yourself,
Yeah.
because you're out of excuses.
Yeah.
And when you work for somebody else, you can say the marketing sucks, the economy sucks, the
Yeah,
lead
everything
sucks.
sucks.
Right,
This, that, and the other. I tell you
right.
what, I learned probably about 20 years ago. Yeah, I went self-employed and I was working for a company, and I was self-employed. They should just set me appointments. I used to go out and deliver it, but it's completely self-employed. So that gave me a little bit, but not completely. I did have the luxury of people making me appointments and all that, but this time around, it's me doing the appointments, me showing up, me adding credibility, me doing the LinkedIn stuff, me doing everything else, my website,
Then
and my
selling the
training.
deal, and then going to train and teach and do the deal while you still got to do all the LinkedIn stuff, the reach
Yep,
outs, and all of that. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
it is. It is. And I do have a habit before I get up in the morning. I've got to read. I've got to set my agenda up. I've got to set my day up. And that's even before the kids get up and scream and shout and want your attention and everything else. But really, look, today I'm going off track here, but that's just because I've just had a cup of coffee. Look, we're talking about conversations, especially now, like that. The things have changed over the last 18 months, as we know. The conversations have been blown out. But, sales conversations is we still have to get through to someone. We still have to have that conversation with someone. So what's the best in the way that you do things? What's the best approach to have these ongoing sales conversations? Because we still need to have them regardless of they haven't got their phones anymore, because they're not in the head office, they're not in the office. They're like us at the moment. They're in the four square walls where you have to get through to someone. You have to have these conversations. What are the conversations like for yourself, and what value you can give forward?
Absolutely. First, I want everybody to understand that sales is just a conversation. I don't believe in closing, because closing is transactional sales. I 100% believe in getting to closure, which is every conversation gets to either a yes, a no, or a significant next step, on somebody's calendar. But in no situation, in no world should I ever be in a spot where I've got to overcome objections or I've got to try and close the deal out. Because if you're overcoming objections, you screwed up somewhere else in the sales call, right? So, that's just my entire philosophy. So to get to the conversations, we're still doing a lot of the old school strategies. We're cold calling, we're doing cold outreaches. We've got a ton of automation going. Now we don't automate anything like on the social platforms, but we automate everything after they engage with us. Which is huge. But email marketing has been phenomenal for us. Text-based marketing has been phenomenal for us. And what we've found is, our greatest ally and asset is by far focusing on being the face of the company. And that's what's getting us into more conversation, putting out social content, being interviewed on podcasts, and making sure more and more people get to hear your message and story. That's been by far the greatest ways to, for us to get people to raise their hand and say, hey, we're interested in your message and what you're doing.
Yeah, as we said just before we got on, I think you have to show up and you have to keep producing stuff every day or as much as you can. I've seen stuff that you put out on LinkedIn. I've equally doing stuff on LinkedIn Live. I've LinkedIn Live conversations. Then I push out brands. I test things as well. I test things on Instagram. If they get a little bit of traction, bang, I'll put it up onto LinkedIn. If they don't get traction on Instagram, I know it's a slightly different audience, but I think it just test and retest. Some things work, some things don't. And it's surprising that the cheesiest thing sometimes is surprisingly it works really well, but it's surprising that people see it. And the next thing is, I was going to suggest the sales conversations is, do you work with click funnels or do you work with lead funnels or anything like that?
No, I don't believe in them. And only reason I don't believe in them is it's a forced sale. So they're constantly trying to push people through this process, and I don't like forced sales. Right? Leave that to the cheese ball, sales trainers and whatnot that are doing that really pushy sales tactic. For me, I really much like to nurture things along. So we have email sequences and things that we do, a lot of automation and things there, but ours is all centered around information. Like we have an email that goes out every week, and it's usually me sharing a story of something I screwed up, what I learned from it, kind of a hero's journey model, if you will.
Yeah.
Where you teach and you give great topics. When we share content on the Growth Mode podcast, it's all about, what can we teach people today? At the end of every show, we give them an action step that they should take and do and implement. So we get a ton of salespeople. A guy just sent me an email today, literally this morning, that said, dude, I got to tell you, your episode on taking bigger risk and going after things you can't think you can handle. He goes, I just approached a company that my company is not big enough to handle yet, but the deal looks like it's going to move forward beginning of next year. So I've got to completely up my game. Thank you for freaking scaring the crap out of me with that thought process. But if you always come from a place of what can you teach people, what can you deliver, what value can you bring them,
Yeah.
you'll be amazed at how many people come in your world. TikTok has been one of my greatest places to explore and test.
Really,
Yeah.
I'm curious about that because I did hear about that, and I was already to jump into it, but then I don't know. Tell me about that because I
Yeah,
want to learn.
so TikTok is a wild west of a social media platform, right? I've had posts get 120,000 views, and I've had
What?
posts get 150. So it's fascinating what works on there, but oftentimes I
So what
use
does
it.
work on there? So I'm just really curious to know because
So TikTok is a place where people go to escape. So if you look at the platforms as a whole, right? YouTube and podcast are how-to platforms, right? You
yeah,
always you search how do I do something.
yeah, yeah,
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook are all escape types, outlets where you're trying to escape your life. So you spend time on these platforms. LinkedIn is a business escape, but you're trying to
yeah,
use it as a business development tool. So TikTok is really an entertainment platform. So it's micro videos, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
15 to 1 minute video or 3 minute videos now of just silly content. But what I found is there is a collection of people that are constantly sitting there for hours scrolling through 1 minute videos and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
And the craziest thing, like my most viral video ever was me telling a story about a guy selling me and he wouldn't turn on his camera. And I said, dude, if you won't turn on your camera, we'll never do business together because this is the best we can get face to face right now. So if
yeah.
this is the best we can do, I got to be able to look you in the eye and trust you as an individual. And he tells me that he won't turn on his camera because he's worried about the facial recognition software. I'm like, dude, if you've walked into Walmart anywhere in the world or any store, they've already got your face, right? No big deal.
Yeah, 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 they have.
But a lot of people got on that post and I had a ton of hate pop up on that. Like I shouldn't tell people to turn on their cameras and all this kind of stuff. It was funny as hell. All the hate that I got from it, but I thanked every person that threw the hate comment in there because every time they did that, I would pick up 20 or 30 more followers and more people would see the video.
Brilliant.
But I put out videos that I thought were going to crush it and just be amazing, and they've completely freaking flop. So it's an interesting platform, but there's so many damn people on it that
Yeah.
putting out educational teaching topics. I search for recipes on there all the time because you get a 1 minute video watching somebody cook whatever,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So it's like any other platform. Educate, educate, educate.
Yeah, so it's all about. I think every single thing is how much value you can give, how much education, but it depends on the probably the platform that you might just slightly pivot it slightly. Like TikTok, you might make it a little bit more humorous or a bit more tongue in cheek, so you get a little bit more traction. Instagram, LinkedIn, as we know, we all do videos on there. We all put posts and motivational pieces and whatever else up there, but yeah, they're all slightly different, and I'm always intrigued about how to get traction within LinkedIn and all the others. Some of them work phenomenally well, and others just
Well,
go bomb.
you,
And I go, what can I do better? Because it's all about giving yourself feedback and going, well, I got a little bit there, but what can I do better? And they all say include people, this, that, and the other. And
Well, I mean, for me, like LinkedIn is a platform that I've decided in 22 that I'm just going to go completely all in on.
yeah,
And so I've been recently reaching out to every coach, mentor, teacher, anybody who's a LinkedIn quote unquote guru, and they've been
I like
asking
them.
questions, right? What works. And there's one theme, and it's a universal theme for all social platforms, is your exposure is based on the activity you do on the platform.
That's right.
So you think about LinkedIn, you post something, that's one activity. You comment on somebody else's stuff, that's another activity. You message somebody, that's another activity.
Yeah.
You like something, it's another activity. So the more active you are on the platform. So what I've, right now I'm at like 7,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I set a goal of I want to be at 20,000 followers by the end of 22. And to
Hmm.
do that, I've, set a task for myself that every day I will comment on 20 different posts because I
Exactly
kind of,
like me.
yeah, I just get the feeling that that movement will get more my profile, more exposure, more eyes on what I'm doing. So I'll go post a post in the morning and then go comment on 20 other posts out there.
And it's
And
also resharing it as well. So if you go on to a really good post and you reshare it, and I've got another strategy. I've got just over 11,000 people,
mm,
and I've been on Clubhouse and all of that. So my strategy is on a daily basis. I wish every single person happy birthday, and then I write a comment. So that could be 15, 10, 5. And the reason I do that is number one, I'm not expecting anything in return because it is a social platform, but just get the conversation going,
mm,
but also engage with every single person who's a connection of mine. And that's another little strategy of mine that seems to be working. I've been doing it for the last 5 months, and now it's a habit every day. And I make sure that I do it when I wake up or as soon as I see it pop
love
up
it.
as a notification.
Well, and I think it's those little things. I mean, like I reply to every comment on every post I get because I figure if people take time out of their day to comment on my stuff, should respect them back to reply with a comment. So I mean, it's those little motions done over time, and I think every one of us struggles with one thing, and it's patience
Yeah.
to stay consistent enough and be patient enough to know it's going to win eventually. I mean, you get guys like Gary Vee, and I had a food blog way many years ago, 10, 12 years ago, that I was doing, and the first time I saw Gary Vee, but the guy annoyed the shit out of me when I was back
Mm,
then because I didn't understand what he was talking about. It was something with wine, and I just wasn't into it. But flash forward, Gary stayed consistent with social content for 10 fucking
absolutely.
years.
Yeah.
And now look at him. He's one of the biggest influencers in the world because of that patience and playing the long game and consistently showing up. So
And I,
uh,
and I think it is the long game. And someone told me last year when I first started podcasting, said, do not just do the first week or so, just do it for the long game.
mhm.
Do your own stuff, which I'm planning for 2022. Uh, Little short snapshots, but it is the long game. And LinkedIn is the long game. I've been on it since 2007, but I was on it, but just casually on it. But now I've really smartly
Well,
gone on properly.
for sure, but back then, LinkedIn was nothing but a place to put your resume. I mean, it's grown as such a platform, but now it's really a social platform. And I hear people watch people bitch all the time. They're like, LinkedIn's not Facebook, and for me, why not? Because those
Yeah.
authentic conversations, that's how freaking business should be done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to celebrate people's, kids graduating high school. I want to celebrate, they got a win in sales or whatever else. It's a great way to not make the business world have a split personality for you because people show up
Yeah.
as one way in business and then one way in home life. And, if those two people would meet, you do a hell of a lot more business.
And I think it's also about setting yourself what you do in your personal life as well. Like I I was very good at running when I was younger. So what I did was a post that had phenomenally well was me picture of me when I was running when I was 17, super fast, and a picture of me running now in the Dublin mountains, all muddy and stuff over my face. But I put them side by side and I posted it and said, this is what I do to release stress. And the reason I do this is so I can focus and whatever else. But it's actually true because I love to do it. And it's to show up every day,
Yep.
regardless of the weather, regardless of the conditions. And it was an analogy based on what I do on a day-to-day basis, showing up. And that did phenomenally well because it's like an authentic thing to do.
Well, and I think it's a great point because I think stories work really well. And I'm not talking about the little videos at the top of your LinkedIn profile. I'm talking about actually writing stories that teach something and tell and let people into your world play really, really well on LinkedIn right now. Because I think people still don't know how to use LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure, okay, how do I do business on this? So, when you can capture somebody's attention for a few seconds because you got a cool story with those cool pictures in there, you're going to see
Mm.
a lot more engagement and things on that because people can relate. They're like, oh, I ran in high school. I wish I
Yeah.
should be out running now, is what a lot of them probably said, but it's a cool way to really get people to go, huh, man, that dude's just like me. I wonder what he does for a living. And
Yeah.
that's what gets people to raise their hands and want to know more about you, your career, and how you can help them.
So, look, we're talking about how success champions in business and strategy. And like, I took the initiative to put this up below about how you've succeeded and success. And it just seems a direct correlation with what we're talking about. And how can we succeed successfully with sales in the conversations that we have? And I think we're basically talking about that as well, because it is a conversation, and it's how we can be shown up and how we can build the trust, credibility, consistency with what we do on a day-to-day basis. And people do notice what we are doing now, especially in this virtual world, when there's people have a little bit more time, bit of mindfulness, and bit of they need to stay off the screen times and everything. But it's all about showing that side of us. What do you think are some of the core successes that you've seen that you can feed forward to the audience today?
The number one thing is fail forward.
Love it.
We have a model in our company that if shit's not breaking, we're not going big enough. So we've just learned to embrace chaos, which has been a really, really fun adventure. And it drives my team nuts sometimes because they're like, hey, I'm thinking about, cool, do it. I don't even get the words all the way out. So now they've learned to come to me and go, hey, I'm just going to do this. And so be willing to take the risk, fail. And it's, for me, it's never a failure as long as you learn something. So that's just a massive
Yeah.
way to look at it. The other thing is I don't care what your role is inside of a company. You're a salesperson first. It's like when I was in the Marine Corps, you're a rifleman first. You do whatever your
Yeah.
job is section. In business, you're a salesperson first. And if you can learn one skill set that will take you through the rest of your career, your life, wherever you do, whether you start your own business or you work for somebody else, go learn to sell, because it is an absolute skill set that will transform your life if you learn to get good at it. Quit giving a shit what people thinking about you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, put yourself out there. It's the people in this day and age we're living to, the people that put themselves out there and are willing to have the haters show up and people bash on your shit. I mean, I love it when haters get on my comments and stuff, because that means somebody besides my mom saw my post. So it's just huge, right? So put yourself out there. And I think the other one is open doors for others. I mean, if you're not
Yeah.
every day going, who can I get these people to? Because, Zig Ziglar, you were talking about Tom Ziegler's,
Yeah. Yeah.
Zig said it best when he said, if you want to get what you want out of life, help everybody else get what they want, and you'll get
Yeah.
everything you ever wanted.
Absolutely.
And, if you go every day with every person you meet and literally like, okay, how can I pour into this person? Who can I get them to? What doors can I open? If you live that way, life will be good. Life
Yeah.
will be really good.
I completely concur with you on that. And something I did something slightly different the other day is someone messaged me on Instagram, and I was going, oh God, this time I let them through. I had a conversation with them. I didn't realize until they actually messaged me and showed me some pictures. And I went, oh, I don't believe you. I said, let's go live. So I went live. They were an orphanage in Uganda in Africa, and they were showing me all the kids,
Oh, wow.
all the street kids and all of that. And I almost had a tear in my eye. I was holding back because I was like, so, uh, and he said, look, we're hungry. We need some food. I said, oh, we get money coming in and we do this, that, and the other. In the end, I just donated some money straight away because it got me emotionally. And I never, ever do that on Instagram. I always hold back because you just get all these people. I
Yep.
can flourish you up to 1 million followers and blah 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 blah, and then you look at them, they've only got 2 followers and they've done 1 post and all of that sort of stuff. But this time I actually took the chance. But it, regardless of the vertical, it's just helping other people to get what they want. But that particular time it was slightly different. Normally I would connect someone and go share a conversation, but come with the same mindset and show up and do something for someone else. And then I shared that and I did an Instagram live because I thought it's quite a good thing to do. Nothing to do with branding, nothing to do with anything else. Just I thought is the right thing to do.
Well, I mean, that's what we based Success Champions networking on, was this entire idea, that if you can just open doors for others,
yeah,
the universe is going to take care of you. You don't give to gain. You don't give to earn anything. You do give because it's the right damn thing to do. And when you focus on nothing but how can I help you today, blown away by how big that organization has grown for us and how much it's personally allowed me to grow, because you're always coming from this mindset of what can I do for you? And it's just it's a cool way to live life.
I think so. And sometimes when you focus too much on the money, and the money doesn't really, if you help people to get what they want and you serve them and you give the value, the money will come. But when it's all about the money, I think you distract from the person and you go, well, you start, if you say it's the money, you just look at dollar signs between them and the company and go, oh yeah, that they're a commodity, as opposed to what can I do to add value to their organization? The money will come afterwards. But as long as you look at it and go, I need to add value as much as I can, the small incremental steps that I can do, which is beyond anyone else, the value and the money will come eventually. And the way of the world, it's a holistic point of view, but it is so true to set up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think when people think about money, that's coming from such a lack mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I mean, I believe the universe brings into your life what you put into it. And so if you're constantly going, I need more money, what you're saying is I don't have enough money, and the world says, okay, cool, you don't get any more. Yeah. But when you come from the mindset of how can I serve, how can I help other people, then the universe is like, cool, let's reward that activity, and they bring more people into your life. Yeah.
So it's the cheesy saying, if you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, then you're right.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Henry Ford, I think he said that. So
sure.
The question I was going to ask you is, if you were interviewing you, what question would you ask you?
Well, some of my favorite questions are what's next. The other questions, that I get quite often that's just fun to answer is how do you do it all? Because what we haven't talked about, we have 6 companies altogether, and I run a full working farm. So on top of all of this,
What sort of farm do you run?
So we have dwarf Nigerian goats,
wow.
And then we have Nargasat turkeys. We've got all kinds of different special breeds of chickens, and and the like. So it's a fun way to live. My house is basically a zoo, because I have inside the house. We've got 3 dogs, we've got 3 cats, we've got hedgehogs, bearded dragons, sugar gliders. We just are a complete menagerie. We never had kids, so we had
any tigers.
No tigers yet.
Ah.
So
you're not going to be the Tiger King, are you?
No, God, no. I've never seen that show. I have no desire to watch it. I'm out. But for me, if we look at what's next, we've changed how the world networks. So we've launched Success Champion Networking in March of 2020. We have 45 chapters across the US, and we're getting ready to open up Canada out there and get some chapters rolling up there, hopefully coming into UK in 22, and doing some things out there. So it's for us it's always how can we create opportunities to bring the right badasses together that understand the same philosophy of opening doors for others is the right thing to do, and create these family of groups that treat each other as family. And, I think the biggest thing that's made Success Champion networking just so powerful is we're never in the mindset of what's in it for me. We're always in the mindset of what can we do for you. And when you get a bunch of people with that mindset together, it's just awesome. Just awesome.
I completely concur. You completely today I think you completely resonated with me. That's why I was excited about having a conversation with yourself, because it's like I wasn't in the Marine Corps. Obviously I look like it, but I was never in the Marine Corps.
That's 100% what I was thinking. You look like
well, that's what I thought. But a lot of what you said has resonated with me wholeheartedly, because that I believe in giving value to others as much as I can. Sometimes some in your head you go, the world's not rewarding me, but it does. It's the patience. It's that time that you give. Other people will start to go, yeah, Donnie's a great guy. Oh yes, all of a sudden, bang. Ironically enough, I saw something on LinkedIn the other day. I just copy and paste their details, and I said, look, this guy's looking for that, and I gave that to someone else that I know. Said, well, they're looking for that. I don't want anything in return for it, but I just said, just buy me a pint. He lives in England, I live in Ireland, but it's not going to happen. But it's just that I'm not expecting anything in return.
That's it.
So that's the way it works. So how can people find out more about you? I put a ticker up below, but that's just for the video audience. But what about the audio audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys will text the word success to 817-318-6030, I'll send you back all my, details, but you also get a cool tips and trick on sales cheat sheets and things that we give out with that. So
And what's the
817
international dialing code for that?
+1.
Well
+1.
done.
Yep. 318. Yeah, 817-318-6030 +1 if you send that. Or if you just search Donnie Boivin Success Champions, we'll pop up on all the social media platforms. And I love it when people come from podcasts or shows and say, hey, I heard you on Jason Cooper's show. Let me know where you came from so I can always go back and thank the host who invited me on their show. Go ahead.
I put a ticker down below for all of the video audience, but majority of the people that listen to this are on the platforms out there. The normal one.
Guys, do me a favor. If you're listening to this, you're watching this, and you got any sort of value, any sort of tips or tricks that you can use in your business, do Jason the biggest favor and make sure you're subscribed to his show. If you're watching on YouTube, ring the bell so you get notified when he gets new episodes out there. If you're listening on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, make sure you subscribe. But the greatest thing you can do for Jason is literally tell one person about this show. As a podcaster myself, the greatest thing you get in the world is when somebody comes up and tells you they're listening to your show. It's just awesome. So share this out for him, and help him grow this show so he can get more content and impact the world more.
And it's ironic, and I do appreciate you saying that. And I was speaking to someone in the UK by random, and he said, "You're Jason Cooper, aren't you?" And I'm going, "Yeah." And I was starting to get a little bit spooked. Just going, "No, I listen to your podcast all the time." I was going, "Really?" Just randomly after having this conversation. So, look, I appreciate that, because this is all about giving forward. It's all about golden nuggets of knowledge, experience. If someone can gain one piece of knowledge from this and all the other episodes I've given, I think we've done our job, and that's what we want. We want to give forward, and that's exactly what it is. Like, you've listened to the Global Sales Leader podcast. I'm your host, Jason Cooper. This is episode 39 or 40. I don't know. It's we've done quite a few of them, and I've done the mindful leadership, and there's about 40 episodes there.